Hello and welcome to Transforming Industries, the podcast focusing on industrial transformation, technology, and what M&A has to do with it. My guest today is Hans-Alfred Breuninger, a senior advisor for the additive manufacturing industry.
I don't know how the Chinese are subsidized there, I have no idea. But I can say that the economy of scale is really a big problem, especially for the German suppliers in 3D printing, because they never will reach these numbers which the Chinese are reaching.
Transforming Industries.
Today, it's all about additive manufacturing. After a decade of hype, the industry experienced a significant disillusionment in recent years. So, how does the way forward look like? What are the key trends driving the market? What comes beyond prototyping? And how does the M&A environment in the industry look like? All key questions that I want to address today. And to do so, I invited Hans-Alfred Breuninger, a very experienced senior advisor to the industry and with a long track record in additive manufacturing. But now enough said, let's jump direct into the discussion. Welcome to Transforming Industries, Hans-Alfred.
Hi Tim, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Hans-Alfred, before we jump into our favorite topic that we jointly work on several occasions, the 3D printing market, maybe you can give a little background of yourself, of how you came to 3D printing, what you are doing in 3D printing, just to give the audience a little bit of background and perspective on yourself.
Yes. Well, I studied chemical engineering at the University of Stuttgart, which is today a kind of a master degree. And after that, I went to the US and I was working for Bayer Chemical Corporation there. And there I realized I need an MBA because an engineer alone is not sufficient. So I went to Fontainebleau, to INSEAD, and got my MBA there. And then I started a career in consulting at a medium-sized consulting firm. And I was staying there till 2016. And in 2016, two colleagues of mine went to Stratasys. Mm-hmm. And they managed that I got a freelance job there. And I was consulting then Stratasys for 5 years. And this was a kind of entry ticket into the 3D printing market. And there I really realized what's going on. I made a lot of good networks, good connections, and so since that I'm really deep into this 3D printing market. So this is then almost 8 years.
Okay, so it was more like by chance that you went into this industry and not like intended. You always want to do 3D printing. So
yes, but it's a good combination from chemical engineering with an MBA. Yeah. So this is a good basis for 3D printing.
And what are the activities or the type of projects that you are doing in the 3D printing market?
Well, at Stratasys, I helped them a lot to build up a good network and increase sales. And the by project for me was that I really got really deep into the industry. So I did learn all about the different printing technologies. Everything about the competitors. So I'm really familiar with the industry. Mm-hmm.
And this is actually also the experience where we want to learn today from. And maybe that's already like a good intro. Let's directly jump to the market. And I mean, 3D printing market is, I think, really interesting also in the way that it really shows from my perspective, a typical Gartner hype cycle, right? Like in the last 20 years, it was, let's say, a real hype about the technology. From everything can be printed or will be printed in the future, to the last couple of years, really kind of a depression or bust. And now it seems like a little bit the industry is recalibrating, especially with a more focus on industrial adaptation. And my perspective or my feeling also a little bit getting a more realistically picture on where the technology can be used and what the market is really about. So what is your perspective? What is the state of the industrial additive manufacturing?
2014 was a real hype of the industry. Also, when Obama said a lot of 3D printing, and the people were thinking, well, I will have my own desktop printer at home and print my stuff for a fridge, or for a broken fridge, or for something like that. But this changed. We have now not many desktop printers at home, so this was a kind of hype, really. And the market is not so big as many people think. The market is about $20 million. And if you compare it with Europe, Volkswagen is investing into e-mobility about 35 million euros. So the 3D printing market is almost 50% of this, what Volkswagen is investing in e-mobility. The market is growing with, let's say, 15 or 18%, but most of the big players are not profitable. So if you go, the main trade show for 3D printing is Formnext in Frankfurt. This is the most important show. And if you imagine on the ceiling of every booth, there would be a red or a green light. You would see the whole holes with almost red lights. So there are very, very little companies who earn money in 3D printing. So this is quite a big problem of the industry.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we come to that already also later in the M&A perspective. If we stick a little bit to the market, so you said like 20 billion, double-digit growth rates. So yes. I think in terms of growth rates, quite interesting market, right? If you compare it to other industry segments. So what is driving the market from your perspective? So what drivers are behind the growth rates of the market?
Well, there are some really interesting niches or verticals where 3D printing is really state of the art, like hearing aids. 95% of all the hearing aids in the world are printed right now, because you can print the individual size of a hearing aid for every man or for every woman. And also, let's say, some applications in dentistry or rocket engines. This is state of the art. These are industrial applications. Mm-hmm. And we are leaving now the kind of prototype printing. It was the last 5 years, 3D printing was very important for prototyping, but now we are leaving this phase of the life cycle, and we are entering the phase of industrialization of 3D printing. But if you take the overall manufacturing market in the world, the part of 3D printing is only 0.1%. Mm-hmm. This maybe can grow up to 1%, but 3D printing is a niche in itself, and it will stay a niche forever. So you will never have real big manufacturing issues with 3D printing. It's just for really interesting niches like hearing aids, like rocket engines and things like that, or airplane parts where the weight is very important, where you have bionic designs for Airbus, for Boeing, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like there were a couple of buzzwords in the last couple of years, like for example, the supply chain disruptions and also the impact of 3D printing on sustainability in terms of design. Is that also from your daily works? Are that growth drivers of companies investing into 3D printing?
Well, sustainability is becoming more and more important. There is also a lot of research in sustainability, like how long lasts the powder, how often you can reuse the powder which is printed in the SLS treatment maybe. But well, I think we are entering now the industrial phase of 3D printing, and there are not all companies from the mindset are ready to enter this phase. So some of them are really good, also in industrialization, industry 4.0, but some are very slow and still try to build the best printer ever made, but do not see the whole process.
And in terms of, like, let's say, technology trends or market segments, what from your perspective, what is performing, what is not performing, what are the growth drivers in terms of technology that you see in the market?
Well, the most well-known technology is FDM, Fused Deposition Modeling, which was invented by Stratasys. Well, but this is on a very mature phase of the product life cycle. There is also powder printing like SLS with polymers or with metal printing. I would say pellet printing with pellets is coming because it's more economically interesting. And although these pellets are the same, like if you have injection molding, and this is really interesting because you have a better economy of scale in pellet printing.
Okay, and what you can often read now is like that in the past you basically had a big spread between, let's say, right, really high quality and high priced machines and several segments in the low cost segment, and now it turns out to that the actually the middle market is more addressed. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, in the desktop metal market, the Chinese took over. They are 100% the market leader with their Bambu Labs printer. Problem is there that the data will go to China probably. This is a problem. So, well, in the medium segment, also the Chinese are very strong. The Chinese have now a very good economy of scale. And they are really, from a technological point of view, a very serious supplier. This is important. Maybe one funny story. Often the people, they must have a special part what they really need out of the printer. And if you want to have a pizza, you go to a restaurant and you want to have a hot pizza and enjoy eating this pizza. But in the 3D printing business, the salesperson often say, well, I tell you what nice pizza oven we are building. This is a great oven, but they do not talk about the pizza. They talk about only the technology. And what's getting more and more important is the parts you will use out of 3D printing. So this is quite an interesting anecdote from the industry.
And how do you think in terms of, let's say, kind of players sticking with the Chinese? How will they impact the overall competition in the market from your perspective?
I don't know how the Chinese are subsidized there. I have no idea. But I can say that the economy of scale is really a big problem especially for the German suppliers in 3D printing, because they never will reach these numbers which the Chinese are reaching. For example, Farsoon has now a production capability with 700 machines, 700 printers, and they also will build it up to 1,000 printers a year. I do not know the exact figures from Trump or from EOS in Munich or from SLM in Lübeck, but these figures are much below the Chinese figures. So from economy of scale, the Chinese surpassed us by far.
And in a global perspective?
They are better from the technology, and I think there are some interesting niches which the Chinese cannot enter, like the American rocket turbine market, like X-Space from Elon Musk. They will never use Chinese printers. From my personal point of view, they will use the German printers, EOS, what they are using right now. But the normal market, where you really need cheap figures, or where you need very good economic way of printing, the Chinese are much ahead of us. And well, they have more power. They have more open machines, and well, this is a problem. I'm really a little bit nervous and anxious that we will lose our step ahead in the 3D printing market, like in the solar industry, like we lost it already to China. So we must be really careful that we can keep our market position in Europe versus China.
Okay. Sticking for a moment in the competitive landscape, I mean, you already mentioned it, especially if we look at the large players. In the last year, let's say they were not profitable, and as well
Yes.
the revenues decreased, and the revenues decreased against an overall growing market. So what is, from your perspective, the reason why especially the large players are currently struggling in the market?
Well, you earn money in the market in the verticals. So let's say in dentistry or in hearing aids, or also in interior parts for Airbus or for Boeing, because the price of the printed part is not so important. It's much more important the weight of the part, the bionic design and things like that. But in general, there are some companies who really think about leaving this market because they don't see any chance to become profitable.
And what is, I mean, if we stick to the large players, what is the problem of the large players actually? Like Stratasys, 3D Systems, I mean, they are also all not profitable, and against the market trend, they are even not growing, announcing cost-cutting programs. So what is the reason of their struggling?
Well, at Stratasys, probably they earn their money only with materials because you must buy the expensive materials like Ultem, which is used for airplanes. You must buy a Stratasys, and this material costs, let's say, 600 euros a kilo. So this is very expensive material, and Stratasys makes their profits with materials. And I would say it's similar with 3D systems. Well, they lose money because they have quite a complicated structure, I would say. In general, Stratasys is profitable, but due to the material.
Okay. Um, I mean, you already mentioned earlier saying the industry is moving beyond prototyping. So if we look a little bit at the way forward in the market, and as we said, like it seems a little bit that the industry is currently settling a little bit more. It's getting a more realistic picture on what market to address and where the technology could fit in terms of production. From your perspective, what type of production for the future going forward does fit with additive manufacturing from a cost perspective, from a flexibility perspective? So what are the use cases, let's put it that way, where the technology really makes sense to use also in manufacturing?
Well, the interesting niches, like I said, the hearing aids or the dentist things, these machines are already on an industrial standard. So they are the hearing aids. You just get it out of the machine how you need it, and it's completely, let's say, an industrial process. But the normal printers you can buy, there is no flow, there is no connected supply chain. So you need a lot of people to get the printer started, to get the build plate empty. When the interest rates were zero, went a lot of money into 3D printing, and there was no pressure to establish a very good supply chain, which is in a very good state. So there are some companies like Genera who have really connected all the different steps in 3D printing to one good process. but there must become more in the industry. So the industrialization is still in the beginning in 3D printing, and the companies must really work much more on this issue.
Hans-Alfred, from your perspective, to stick on that point a bit, what actually production types or production niches are really suitable for the additive manufacturing technology? I mean, I think one thing that became clear, it's not that in large serial production, additive manufacturing most probably will never be used, but there are certain types of productions where, especially if the technology advances more and more, where it really makes sense to use it. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. You should have not so big parts. Should have parts not bigger than a shoebox. This is quite a good size for 3D printing, for an economic way of 3D printing. And if there is, let's say, you just need individualized parts, like the hearing aids, where every man has his own ear, and so you can just print for one person. So the parts should be not so big, and the part should be individualized. This is the big advantage of 3D printing.
Okay. And if we talk about industrialization, I mean, one thing is actually to have the machines, but I think it takes more, right, in order to bring the industry forward into let's say, small serial production. What does it take actually if we use or think in the context of Industry 4.0, using additive manufacturing in production? What does it really take to industrialize the technology?
You have a triangle out of the machine, the hardware, the material, and the software. Yeah. And this triangle must be in a balance. And the breakthrough in the hearing aid business was the software. When the software was created, then there came the breakthrough. And there is also a famous Harvard business case in the US that within 500 days, the industry was changed into 3D printing, and then the old production methods were gone. So you must have this triangle in a good shape, and software is still a very, very important thing. So and the material also. And I think today often the printing technology, the hardware is quite often in the focus of companies, but you must see the triangle that this is in a good shape.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I had the feeling like when we were looking around, like, and we made a presentation at that time on that topic also. In 2020, 2021, my feeling was at that time there was a larger focus on software and automation, where there was the understanding that the industry that itself had to digitize and automate their processes than it is right now. My feeling is at the moment it's more about, and maybe this is already a keyword, we're going to talk more about the technology itself and consolidation in the market, right? So I think the automation perspective got a little bit in the back from my perspective.
Yes. You are right, and it must be really come in the front again. This is very important. Mm-hmm. And I think probably the Chinese are also good underway in this industrialization.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we already mentioned the word or the phrase consolidation, and if you read articles about additive manufacturing, I think it's the most prominent word, right? Consolidation in the market, but we read that since articles back since minimum 5-6 years that the industry now really is starting to consolidate. But if you take a broader view, saying we get a more realistic picture on the market, that the market maybe is just suitable for certain niche segments. And looking at the number of technologies, number of players, then I think it's obvious that there needs to be some consolidation, especially if that there is not enough space for all the players in the market, right?
Yes, yes. You have at least more than 300 companies who offer 3D printing solutions. And for this small market, this is much too much. So there must be a consolidation. And in total, we have more than 60 different technologies. And well, it's really right now in a very strong consolidation phase. Maybe if we start now with the AM merger things, there are some examples how the market is now getting reshaped, and this must come. You have too many offerings in the market, and you have too many different technologies, and it's the market must consolidate.
Maybe when we are already in the M&A section, and I mean this is also like the field where we are jointly active
Yes,
in the
yes,
3D
yes.
printing market. Maybe let's start because I think it's really saying a lot about the industry and the state of the industry with a little recap on 2023. I mean that was really like kind of a M&A craze among the big players, and I just wrote it down just to have the order of all the activities that have happened there. So in 2023 we had on the table overall offerings of almost 2 billions to buy each other among the large players. So if we go through that in a sequence, so in March 2023, Nano Dimension made a bid for Stratasys of 1.2 billions to buy Stratasys. In May 2023, Stratasys bidded a 1.8 billion proposal to buy Desktop Metal. In June 23, we had 3D Systems to bid 1.2 billion for Stratasys. And finally in September, shareholders rejected all deals. So actually at the end in 2023, nothing happened. Finally in December 2023, Nano Dimension was again bidding for Stratasys, already decreasing their offering to 1.1 billion. And then finally this year, to round up that initial section, Nano Dimension acquired Desktop Metal, announcing a merger between 135, 183 million, which is less than 1/10 that Stratasys was offering in the last year. So what does it say us about the industry and especially about the large players?
Well, I think Desktop Metal was running out of money, and Nano Dimension was quite clever then to find the right timing to take it over. And Nano Dimension is a very rich company. When they went to Nasdaq, they got more than $1 billion on cash. And so Nano Dimension still owns 15% of Stratasys on shares. So right now, and also Nano Dimension took over Markforged.
Yeah.
So they are consolidating now Desktop Metal and Markforged. And I would say this takes 4 or 5 months. And when this is finished, from my point of view, they will restart to take over Stratasys, because they already have 15%. They already got 15%, and they want to become the world market leader in a consolidated shape. This is the overall goal from Nano Dimension, from my point of view. So you see that from originally, I think 1.8 billion for Desktop Metal. Now they took it over for 140 or 180. There is a lot of money burned in this way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, also if we look at that from a general perspective, saying that many of the large players are currently struggling, announcing cost-cutting programs. So what we also see, I mean, in the past, especially Stratasys and 3D Systems, were companies that frequently acquired other companies actually to accelerate innovation, right? Acquiring small companies, integrating the technologies in their portfolios. That was actually in the past a way of growing. But in the current environment, it's difficult to see, other than maybe Nano Dimension, that this happens again. And if we look at the broader M&A perspective, we have already seen from a peak in 2021, there were almost like 80 transactions, depending on the source that you take, to in 2024, we are in between 16 to 18 transactions that I have in mind. So we see a steady decrease also in M&A. So what is your perspective on that when we talk about consolidation? I think we can expect a little upturn again, right? But the question is then, who are the acquirers?
I think Stratasys will stick to their portfolio right now, but they will not acquire any other new company probably, because they started a cost savings program, and well, they took also over Covestro, they took a materials company over, but I think Stratasys is really needs consolidation, and they are forced to consolidate. They have no other option. Consolidation is now the buzzword of the industry from my point of view. Sure, we have growth, maybe printing on concrete or printing ceramics. This is growing interesting segments, but the main player like Stratasys, like 3D Systems, they must really consolidate. I don't see any other solution.
Okay, and maybe then also let's say round up the picture, because if we look at the startup environment, that, as I said, that was in the past actually a key area of innovation and technology development for the industry, where the companies at a later stage have been acquired by the larger players, and we see in line with the overall industry, also like that in the startup ecosystem is actually struggling. So at the moment we have around about 3,000, or since 2012 we have almost like 3,300 startups founded. In the recent years, especially in the core technologies, we see a decrease in new foundation of companies, which I think goes in line with the overall picture, right? And I think the only area where we can see increasing number of startups is around specific market applications, like in aerospace, for example. So is it really that companies and investors from the beginning have to think more about revenues and profitability than it was in the past? Or what do you take from this development?
Well, I think when the interest rates were at zero, it was very easy to get money for 3D printing, and there was more a kind of technological hype. Right now, we must consolidate. The times are completely different since 2021, 2022. Now consolidation is the buzzword in the industry.
Okay, so maybe we take a quick look forward. Also, what the M&A topic means. So, I have some hypotheses. I thought upfront about it. Actually, where I think it could go. So, I mean, consolidation is definitely, I think, a key topic that
yes, sure,
we can expect to drive, right?
Yes.
I would assume, as we've seen, for example, with the BASF case, so in the last couple of years, we saw a lot of outsiders from the industry, actually via acquisitions, going or entering the additive manufacturing market. What's your perspective? Maybe in that overall situation, I would expect that many companies have to focus on their core business. Maybe we also see more exits around that. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think they want to get rid of a business which has not the the right return rates. Like BASF said, we have problems in Ludwigshafen, high energy prices, and we want to get rid of AM Forward because AM Forward from BASF did not reach the sales targets, and then management took it over. So, but they are leaving the scene, and also if you have big corporations who founded a daughter company for 3D printing, there are a lot of examples that these daughter companies do not earn money. And when the business was running well and the interest rates were low, there was no pressure. But now there is pressure, and they will sell it or they will stop the activity. So this is coming for sure.
So this is also something that I think will fill the pipeline in terms of M&A.
Yes.
I think what companies will more focus on, if we also following our discussions, is focus around verticals or industry applications.
Yes.
Like that companies are looking for concrete industry-specific solutions, right? Because the main players are more like technology and less market or customer solution focused. So I think this is an area where I would expect more acquisition activities in the future, as well as what I mentioned is in terms of what we saw in the past already. I would expect an increasing focus again on software and automation, because that goes in line with a broader manufacturing industry, right? That from hardware you have to go more to solution-focused businesses, and especially I think the additive manufacturing industry has some recap on digitization of their own processes. There's still a lot of manual work, so I think the invest in software actually has to significantly increase in order to automate the processes, right? So I would expect also more activities in this area.
Yes, you are 100% right, but also let's say if you have a large scale production, like maybe Siemens wants to produce interior parts for trains because not inflammable. And there the Chinese have the big machines where we really have this large economy of scale where you can produce these parts in a very economic way. And this is coming because this is the industrialization. But the German companies, they have not so big machines, and they have not these prices how the Chinese enter here the market.
Okay. What is your perspective on just a final roundup on that? I mean, we talk about M&A, but there is also other options. Do you see, and if we come to the point where you go into the manufacturing space, you might not be able to deliver all the solutions by your own, right? So you have to talk about ecosystems, partnerships. Is that something in the industry? Because in the past, I had a feeling it was very closed shop, right? You tried to sell your machine with your software, with your materials. Do you have the feeling that the industry is opening up a bit more so that it makes that it's possible to have more partnerships, cooperations, and kind of an ecosystem to offer customer-specific solutions?
Yes. In the early times when I was with Stratasys, the machines were distributed because they couldn't produce enough of the machines, and so the salesmen, well, they had no pressure to sell, so they just distributed the machines. And this changed completely. And now you need new ecosystems. You must build up verticals where you can earn money. So the rules of the game change completely if you compare 2020 with now with 2025.
I think rules of the game is a quite good keyword. If I sum up a little bit the discussions, and I make a very provocative final statement. I mean, what have we learned, right? The market is now getting a more realistic picture on what the market size is really about, right?
Yes.
So what you see that the adoption in the industry in terms of manufacturing is slower than maybe expected also from many investors in the past, right? So we see there needs to be consolidation in the market to also have the number of companies in a right amount in relation to the market, right? So what does it mean for players in the market? So my take is actually you need to have a really strong value proposition, much clearer differentiation, most probably or most beneficial, a clear value proposition to specific market or industry segments compared to the past. And even then, you might have to see whether you actually form partnerships or find a strategic investor, most probably. So I think there is just these two ways, right? Have a very clear position, find someone to acquire, or out of business.
Yes, or you set up new ecosystems in, let's say, in a specific vertical or something like that. So you must think much broader than before. You are not only a hardware producer, you really must offer the overall solution.
Mm-hmm. So what from your perspective, what do companies need to do in this situation at the moment? What is your final?
They must become profitable because 80% is not earning money or 90%. And they must think what's my ecosystem in which I am in. So let's say the triangle, material, software, hardware must be really in good shape, or you must have an overall view on the whole industry, including software is really becoming more and more important.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hans-Alfred, was great talking to you.
Thank you, Tim, for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And sharing perspective on additive manufacturing industry. And yeah, let's talk soon.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining the discussion.
Yes, I'm interested to know if we would talk in 2 years' time about what we then have, what kind of subjects we are discussing now.
Yeah, let's have a recap in 2 years, see whether we were right with the predictions or the market went in a completely different direction, right? So.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hans-Alfred.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Transforming industries.
So, what do you think? Is my final statement too extreme? Will we see more exit and transactions in the near future? Leave me a comment or send me a message if you want to further discuss the topic or concrete opportunities. And like always, if you liked the episode, please leave me a 5-star rating on your favorite platform. Have a great time and tune in to our next episode. Goodbye.